Welcome to the Raising Confident Girls podcast, your guide to raising strong, confident daughters. I'm Melissa Jones, the founder of Girls Positivity Club and a teacher for over 20 years. In a world where girls often feel overwhelmed, anxious, and confused, this podcast is your go-to space. As caregivers, we navigate challenges together. I founded Girls Positivity Club to provide a place where you belong and get the tools to face today's hurdles. Consider this your regular check-in with a trusted friend, offering insights and practical tips for meaningful conversations. I'm here to help you feel confident on this journey of raising a generation of empowered girls. Let's dive in and raise those confident girls together. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Raising Confident Girls. I am so very happy that you're here today. I am Melissa Jones, as you know, the host and founder of Girls Positivity Club. So if you've been here lots of times before, welcome back. And if this is your first time, you are in for a treat because we have a very special guest. And this episode is very special because not only because she's a guest, but because we're talking about something that feels really timeless, which is the power of stories. And as a former teacher of 23 years, and she's a former teacher, like we both know the power of books. And I know that you care about connecting with your daughters and the girls in your life. And so you're going to find this such a powerful conversation and a way to empower you to empower those girls in your life. And so that's why I'm so excited because I'm joined with Elizabeth Mundt, also known as the Kidlit Mama. She is a mom, a former elementary teacher, and a lifelong book lover who uses picture books to help families talk about kindness, confidence, and big emotions in meaningful ways. And today we're going to be talking about lots of things, but picture books, how they can help you talk with your daughter about big emotions, because that's something really common in girls and boys too. But I think that especially with girls, like it's a very important thing that we can talk to them in an empowering way about their emotions. And so, yeah, we'll get into all of that. But what I love most about Elizabeth's story is how it's all come full circle for her, from being a little girl with piles of books everywhere to the teacher that she became using books to help kids learn empathy, to now being a mom of a daughter herself and just having positive impact. And if you do not follow her on social media, please do yourself a favor. And I'm just going to say that straight out of the gate, like follow the Kidlit Mama. You will get value out of every single post. That's how I discovered her. And she shared with me before the episode that this is her first podcast. So welcome to Raising Confident Girls.
Yeah, thank you so much for that kind introduction. I'm so excited to be here. I'm a little nervous though. This is my first ever podcast, like you said. So yeah, it's exciting.
You're going to do amazing.
Awesome.
Oh, you're a natural.
Oh
gosh,
yeah.
you.
Oh gosh. Okay. Thanks. We're both Midwestern girlies. I feel like.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you. Yep. Like Melissa said, I'm Elizabeth Mundt, creator of the Kidlit Mama, former classroom teacher turned mom, and I don't know, small business owner, sort of. I have a hard time using that label, but trying to step into it a little bit. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, I'd love for you to start about, like I just shared a little bit from what I've learned about you, but would you just share your story? Because I think it's so special anytime something comes full circle for us as women and moms and all the things. So you said that books have always been your thing and that you have grown up surrounded by them. So can you tell us a little about your journey, about what made you realize that books were more than just stories? They were actually a bridge to connecting and understanding and just kind of how it all started.
Yeah. So as a little girl, one of my earliest memories is going to the library with my dad every single week. And I was the kid that would bring home like a wagon full of books, basically. Like I swear I remember actually pulling a wagon in the library at least one time and pulling it back out with tons of books. And I would come home and lay them all out and just like devour them.
Yes.
And looking back, I remember too, like a lot of the books that I read with my family, and I actually just made this realization last week, they were books like Berenstain Bears series that had values like embedded into them and like concrete lessons, life lessons. And I didn't really make that connection until honestly just last week. And I was like, oh, maybe that's why I love all these books that have like these clear values and lessons. But so weekly library trips, such a great memory. And just growing up, I kept being a voracious reader. And then I went to school, studied psychology and Hispanic studies. Like a lot of kids, millennials, left college and was like, what the heck am I going to do now? Like, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
I knew that I loved kids though. And my husband, who I met final semester of senior year, he was a teacher. And so I was already done with my bachelor's degree pretty much by that point. So it was too late for me to get my teaching license in that school. But he was like, you should consider going back to school, getting your master's, your licensure, and becoming a teacher. And so I knew elementary was like the age that I loved. So I went back and I did that. And I found even in that program, children's literature was like my favorite course. And I was already starting to like find and collect books for my classroom library.
Yes. Same.
Yeah. And looking for specific titles where I was like, I know that this is going to like meet a need. This is going to offer representation to kids with specific struggles or kids that are from more marginalized identities that don't always get seen in books.
Yeah.
So I knew that that was a big priority going into the classroom. And I was very like focused on social justice too. So figuring out how I could pull that into my content through books.
Yes.
Books were just like such a natural entry point. So then I became a teacher. I saw firsthand, how stories can change the way that kids see themselves and the way that they interact with others. Used books all the time, read alouds to address different issues we were facing in the classroom. And then I had my daughter during COVID. And so I was I'm going to stay home with this little newborn baby. I'm not quite ready to go out into the world yet. So I stayed home with her and found like as she got into like toddler years, preschool, that again, I was just finding like books were the solution at every stage like of her development. And we could learn so much through reading them together. So yeah, it started out with me as a kid, learning about the world through books. And now then with my classroom, teaching my kids through books. And now as a parent myself, teaching my daughter through books. And I still learn so much through picture books too. Like I have a stack that I'm going to share some of them with you a little bit later. Like there's one book especially in here that like it taught me a lesson and that I still think back about it after reading it like a year ago. And I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta remember that book.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So my Instagram began while I was teaching in the classroom specifically. And then as I started staying at home, it evolved to what it is now and is still includes content for teachers. It's a little bit more parent centric, but I find that there's a lot of overlap too. Like a lot of teachers are parents too. So I think that my content is used probably in both environments.
For sure.
An equal amount. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think too, like as a parent, you are a teacher.
Right.
I mean, and it just, like it goes hand in hand. Do you mind my asking what grade you taught?
I taught 4th grade.
Okay. Yeah. Same.
So
fourth is such a magic year.
So great.
Yeah, I love it. And same thing, like there's so many authors and so many books coming out at all times. And so there's always something new to discover. And I find too, like you mentioned, even rereading a book with yourself or with your child, it's like they're different people than they were when you read it the first time, and you are too. And you're like, oh, wait a minute, this is relevant because this is happening in our lives. Yeah. And so I love that. I think that's a great point.
Something that reminded me of, I know a lot of people are regular library users, which is awesome. I was getting a lot of books sent to me by publishers to review. Wow. So one thing that we started doing is in the inside of the book, we would jot down a note when we read it together. And like with the date and like a thought that we had, or maybe something that my daughter said while we were reading it. And then we would go back whenever we would reread it and look at the past comments and add more to it. And it is so cool, like seeing like what new thoughts and connections kids have as they reread it and how like their perspective changes over time and its relevance in your life too.
Oh my gosh, that's such a great tip. I mean, what a great thing to do.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Really cool. Just, did you put it on a sticky note or just write it in the cover?
I just put it right inside. I will say the one issue with it is you never want to part with those books. So if you're trying to like clean out your house, like, and not the tip for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And like, that's where Post-it notes come in so handy.
Right.
I mean, like,
totally
use them for everything. Yeah. I love that. That's so beautiful. And what is it that you think changed over COVID that made you like, was there an epiphany that you had during COVID that was like, not only did you want to stay home with your daughter, but just like seeing books in a different way and deciding like, how did you decide? Were you like, I feel like there's a need in the world for people wanting book, like someone to put together books, or like I know as a teacher, putting together
Mhm.
text sets is a whole thing because
Oh, yeah.
yeah, it's a lot of work. And so what was your thinking behind like, oh, I should do this for other people. I think other people would like this.
I mean, in general, I feel like that was a time where we were all at home. There's a lot more like
Hmm.
introspection involved.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? A lot
Uh-huh.
of time, I feel like a lot of parenting struggles kind of came to the forefront at that time too, because parents were home with their
Absolutely.
kids being like,
Yeah.
wow, this is what they're experiencing in the classroom daily too, you know?
Yes. Yes.
Or like sibling dynamics were
Oh,
difficult, like finding
yes.
balance in like lifestyle. Like there were just like so many things that came to the forefront, like gaps became apparent, I feel like, for a lot of parents. Like,
Yes.
so I would say that for sure. Oh, but can you hear that? I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
need
it's
to find a
okay.
way to
It's all right.
silence
It's
those.
okay. No, you're
Um,
good.
okay, that's gonna pop up again. So my adorable and wonderful aunt, Missy is her name. She has Down syndrome, and
Aw.
she loves calling me daily.
Aw.
And she will call multiple times in a row. So I might have to like, we'll
No
see.
worries.
We'll see how I have to handle that,
Yeah.
if needed.
I
Um,
love. They're
oh
the
yeah, so
nicest people.
yeah, she's
Yeah.
amazing, and she's actually
Yeah.
done read alouds on my page too. So I'll have to
Oh, I
maybe link one
love
of those
it.
if your
Yes,
audience is interested
please.
in listening to her. Yeah, she's great.
Yes. Yeah.
So those are definitely some of the factors. Also, a big thing when I started my page too was like helping people learn how to access books too, because it's one thing
Mhm.
to be like, hey, get all these picture books, these are great books, but I feel like for a lot of people, especially classroom teachers, they were like, okay, but where do I get them? So
Mhm.
that was something I felt like now that I had a little bit more time on my hands while I was at home, that I could figure out how to help them to do that too. Like I was really good at using Donors Choose and Adopt a Classroom
Yes.
and sites like those.
Mhm.
So being at home, I also was trying to figure out, okay, I'm here right now. Like, how can I still help teachers in this position, um,
Yeah.
even outside of the classroom? So
Yeah, that's great.
yeah.
So, you've read, I'm sure, hundreds of
Oh
children's
gosh.
books.
Hmm.
What to you makes a story truly emotionally resonant for kids and parents? Like, what is it that for you, because I know you said you have publishers sending you books and
Oh yes.
you yourself are discovering books, like sometimes
Hmm.
it's that hidden gem where you're like, I've never heard of this author, but like this is really good. I think this
Hmm.
could really help people. And so
Yeah.
what makes something really pop for you and be like, okay, I think other people would
Hmm.
really value this, or how do you
Yeah.
choose?
That is such a good question because, like, so much of it has become just like innate over time.
Yes.
But I actually have been reflecting on this lately. I'm putting together like a little PDF guide. It's called the Book First Parenting Method, subject to change, title subject to change. But I was really asking myself, like, how am I selecting books that I feel like are best for students? And I came up with a little acronym. I actually call it the NEAT lens.
Mm,
So the NEAT lens, it's how I choose books to support my child in real life. And so N is narrative based. So I find that kids connect so much more to a story than simply just like being told something.
correct.
So a story that connects to your whatever your child is experiencing or their struggle. There's actually this detail that says that stories are 22 times more memorable than facts. So
Hmm.
tell a kid a story and it's more likely to stick. I would say not every book I share and choose has a clear narrative, but ideally it would. So that's
Hmm.
the N. And then E is entertaining for your kids. So thinking about like what are your kids' personal interests, and what are their preferred story type. A lot of kids like love graphic novels. So I say by all means, get them those graphic novels. You just have to look for an
Yes.
entry point, you know?
Hmm.
For my daughter, it could be something as simple as like if it has like a doll in it, like even in like an illustration, you know, she's going to
Hmm.
be drawn to it. For a while, it was princesses. I'm sure, I'm sure you remember. Yeah, you know what
Yes. Yes.
that's all about. She's kind of
Yeah.
moved a little bit past that, but so
Yeah.
entertaining for your kids. Other things to consider, like illustration style, like how interactive the book is. A lot of books have, you know, different interactive elements or even like talking to the reader directly, which for
Hmm.
some kids could be like really exciting and something that they're not maybe haven't seen before. And then A, actionable. So like, is there a concrete takeaway, a concrete
Oh, yeah.
strategy within the book? I love that kind of title. Um,
And what does that sound like to you? Like, how
yeah.
would a parent know if it's a concrete takeaway?
Right, right. So something that after reading, we can revisit it together and can be like, hey, did you see what so-and-so did in that situation? Refer back to what the character did.
Got
And
it.
then we can refer back to it regularly after reading
Mhm.
it. So for
Yes.
example, we read this one book. It's called Good Morning, I Love You, Violet. And in the book, the character learns in her class that every day when you wake up, you can say to yourself, good morning, I love you, Elizabeth. And say that to yourself in bed, and that it can help you to feel happier and more able to like confront challenges throughout the day, just like that loving kindness
Love
onto
that.
yourself. And I feel like that is such a concrete strategy. Like that's something literally wake up in the morning, remind your kid of it, and you can say it together. We would say it on the way to school. And it
Love.
made a difference. So that's super concrete, right? Actionable.
Yes. Love that.
So yeah, a lot of books, have like symbolism and abstract elements, and those can be great
Yes.
like teaching strategies for the
Yeah.
classroom, like for academics.
Yeah.
But when I'm thinking of like this particular lens, using picture books to address like actual struggles kids are facing, I like it to be a little bit more concrete. I find that
Yeah.
helps.
Mhm.
And then the last one is T is tailored for where your child is at. So
Yes.
it doesn't mean, however, I think some people see like, oh, this book is recommended for ages 3 to 6. Like older kids cannot read it, younger kids cannot read it. And like, I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
So I find it's helpful, to have that age recommendation, gives you a starting place, but
Yeah.
don't use it to limit you, because older kids, most picture books are recommended 4 to 8. And by that guidelines, fourth graders wouldn't be reading any picture books. And that
Right.
is just not the case. So
Yes.
I just
Agreed.
find that you might need to enrich it a little bit, or you might
For
need
sure.
to add some scaffolding to make it a little bit more accessible, depending on the kid's
Mhm.
age. So yeah, that's my little framework that I've been using lately. It's called NEAT.
I love it.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, that's such a great tool for parents and
Thank
just
you.
to think about. And we'll put that in the show notes, and
Okay.
we'll also put it in the we always do an email with the podcast.
Oh,
So
cool. Yeah.
we'll make sure that goes in with your tips
Awesome.
and crediting that to you, obviously.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think that's so powerful because I think it can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
Because parents will go on Amazon, they'll read a description of a book, like
Mhm.
you said, it'll say a suggested age. But
Right.
there is such a power in the connection with the character or the connection with the situation.
Right.
And even fantasy situations can be relatable to kids
Oh, yeah.
in ways,
Mhm.
and I mean, I think about Harry Potter because there are
Right.
so many
Good
different
example,
things
yeah. Mhm.
for sure. And just like, even if you're thinking, well, my daughter's older, I'm thinking about people who are listening who maybe have older girls. It's like, or
Mhm.
girls in their life. And it's like, no, like you said, picture books are useful for any age. And they
Mhm.
actually secretly love it when you read them a picture book or when you're
Sure.
like, hey, I found this really cool book. But as they're getting older, they can start to feel like it's cringy or
Right.
cheesy or whatever they want to say. And so I think to your point, like you can even use that acronym for choosing young adult,
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
books or chapter books or
Mhm.
whatever. Like even books that the characters are very different than your child can teach
Mhm.
so much about empathy and inclusivity and
Mhm.
thinking like someone else's the way that they think and like, oh, I never even thought of that perspective. So I think
Right.
there's also such value too in reading a book that's, like Wonder or Fish in a
Mhm.
Tree or,
Love
books that are,
that. Mhm.
yeah, like they're about people with differences or like Out of
Right.
My Mind. Like now that's become a series, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
exciting.
I used to
But
read
like,
that every year to my 4th grade class.
same.
Yep, I love
Oh,
that
and
one.
they eat it up. Like they love that
So good.
Melanie is such a relatable character and that
Mhm.
she just wants to belong. I mean, that's really
Yeah.
the bottom line. And so, like you were saying, that symbolism of, the goldfish in that story, or,
Mhm.
you know, the the quiz game, that whatever moment with the trophy
When she
or
gets
whatever it
left
would be.
behind.
I
Oh,
know. Oh,
yeah.
it's
So
horrible.
heavy. Right.
Yeah, but such a great lesson in like,
Empathy
what would
building.
you do? Yeah,
Right.
exactly. So I think there's also like, if you're listening, you're like, well, I
Mhm.
don't know if my daughter would be open to that. Like, there are so many. I really think young
So
adult books or chapter books like that are like just as good as,
Oh,
if not better than.
100%. Yeah.
I
So
think
good.
a lot of times better than adult books, but
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
yeah. So when it comes to girls, like especially, I think are a different population in that we, as a girl, we both know, like we see things differently.
Mhm.
And can experience things bigger and
Mhm.
can need support in specific ways growing up.
Mhm.
So, what are some emotions that you see girls needing more support with right now? And
Mhm.
how can picture books help with that?
Well, can I pull out some books? Is it
Please.
too early?
Yes. No,
Okay.
I'm ready. Yes, I
All
think we're all
right.
ready.
So I will share, let's see. Let's find a good one. All right. So these two in particular, I really love. So Messy Monkeys
Hmm.
and I'm Happy Sad Today. So
Love.
they're about how, so I think as girls, lots of times we can be told like that we feel things too deeply or like that we're
Yes.
too much. And
Too
especially
sensitive.
neurodivergent girls too, you can feel like you're
Yes.
all over the place and
Yes.
feel like you need to be more like straightforward,
Hmm.
straightforward and more clear about things. And these books just normalize the fact that like you can be messy and have lots of different emotions at the same time, and that's totally normal. Okay. So I'm even
Love.
thinking of like my daughter yesterday. She's 5, she's in kindergarten. She fell down at recess and she hurt her hand and her leg. And she came home and she said, "Mom, today was not a good day." And I was like, okay. Because I had seen her early in the day. I had been volunteering in the library.
Oh, of
And
course.
in that library.
Perfect.
I had
Yeah.
seen her earlier in the day and it was a great day. She had been having a great day. And so I told her, "So was it a bad day or was it just like a bad moment?" And she's like, "A bad moment." And so then I kind of pivoted to this book and was talking about like how we can have happy and sad moments within a day. And the day
Yes.
doesn't have to be defined by just one of those experiences. And so kind of
Love.
helping, not just girls, but helping kids in general see that they
Yeah.
can have multiple emotions like coexisting at the same time. And it doesn't have to be one or the other. And like in this
Love
world
that.
we're living in like such stressful times,
Yes.
it can feel like, well, how am I supposed to be happy when it feels like the world is burning around me? And the
Yeah.
answer is like, you don't have to be like straight up happy. Like you can be
Hmm.
happy with like the day-to-day things that are going on around you and be like sad and grieving and struggling through the parts that aren't so great. It's just
Yes.
helping kids realize that they can hold multiple emotions at once.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of our girls especially like are really deep feelers, which is like a huge
Yes.
strength when we frame it the
It
right
is.
way.
Yeah.
So helping them see that multiple emotions can exist at once. I really like titles like that.
I love that. Yeah,
And
we talk about
then,
that all the time.
oh
Like we
yeah.
talk about in Girls Positivity Club,
Mhm.
how feelings are visitors
Yeah.
and how visitors are supposed to come and visit. Like you're supposed to feel
Mhm.
frustrated, you're supposed to feel happy, sad,
Yeah.
all the things, and that they don't have to live in you for a long period of
Yeah.
time. Like if you need it to live there a little bit longer, feel what you need to feel, but then
Right.
you can also move through it in positive
Mhm.
ways. And I think your books are a perfect way to kind of work through that with the girls.
Yeah. Before I
Yeah.
forget, I have connected what you were just saying. There's a book called The Hotel of Feelings. That's like exactly
Oh,
like what you said, where the feelings check in and out. It's like,
love that.
yep,
See,
always
you're like,
connecting things to books. Yep.
yeah,
On my
you're like,
brain.
I can't turn it off.
I can't. I really can't.
The Hotel of Feelings. Yeah,
It's
that's great.
great, but it can be a problem too.
Yeah.
This is another one that I love. It's called Stay Angry, Little Girl.
Mm.
So about how, too often girls are told they're too emotional, too much. Like, why do you look so mad? Like the whole
Yes.
resting bee face, that people say
Yes.
that girls have. And this
Hmm.
book just encourages kids or girls especially to stay angry. On the back it says, "Stay angry, little girl. Anger helps you know what needs to change."
Yeah.
So reframing their anger as a strength and not something that you have to like suppress. Like you don't have to just sit there and smile and look pretty. Like you are allowed to have big feelings, and those big
Hmm.
feelings can make a difference. So this is a great
That's
one.
amazing. And
That's a
does
great
it talk about like how they work through their anger, or does it talk about like that it's okay to, like you were saying, it's kind of like the Hotel of
Yeah.
Feelings. I'm just like guessing that it's
Hmm.
like some guests stay for longer and
Yeah.
some guests are an overnight guest. So
Yeah.
it's it's like now it's hard for me to turn off that thinking, but
Right.
it's like, yeah, do they talk about like just that it's okay to be angry and like you don't have to look a certain way, or like I remember growing up, if I was really thinking of something, I had a lot of internal chaos and my
Yeah.
mom didn't really know how to help me.
Yeah.
And I think books would have been such a great tool for her.
Hmm.
And I think like we were out shopping one time and this guy was like, I don't even know who this person was, and he was like, smile, it life can't be that bad. And I was like,
Oh.
I didn't even know that I was But I've always been a deep feeler, and I've always been very sensitive and very
Mm-hmm.
in tune with other people's emotions. But
Right.
yeah, so yeah, that's just kind of an aside, but connection
That's,
with
yeah.
being told that as girls, like just a simple comment. And like, I'm a grown adult and I still
Right.
remember that stranger saying that to me at
Right.
Target or wherever. Yeah.
Well, I have a book for that too. It's called Smile, Sophia.
Oh my God. We're just
And
going to give you 1,000 books on this
it's
episode.
literally
Please.
about an incident like that where a girl is like looks
Yeah.
too serious and like stranger like tell her to smile and she does not like that. Like it doesn't sit well with her for good reason.
Oh
That
my
is a
God.
great one. Yeah, I highly
Okay.
recommend that.
What is it called again?
It's called Smile, Sophia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Sometimes I'm surprised I can remember all the names of the books, but they just like pop in my head. I don't know.
I love it. It's a
Yeah.
gift.
Yeah.
It's a gift. That's
I
why what you
can't
do is so
remember where I
important.
put my keys, but I can remember the title of the book that I read 5 years ago. So
Yes.
that's how it
Yes.
is, I
I can
guess.
relate. Yeah.
Yeah, so that let's see what else we've got. I've got a lot of them. I've got some really good ones that have to do with like friendship dynamics. You know, with girls like
Mm-hmm.
relational aggression is like a lot more
Yes.
common than like
Mm-hmm.
physical aggression.
Yeah.
There's this one. This whole series is really good. Way past jealous, way past mean, and way past sorry.
Mm.
These ones all really fit that the narrative, the N on my neat lens. They offer
Yes.
really good stories that kids will be able to connect with and like see themselves in right away.
Love
This one,
that.
a child feels jealous of a classmate because the teacher hangs up one of her pictures. And
Mm-hmm.
so with those feelings, she goes and I'm pretty sure she either scribbles on or tears up her friend's picture. So it's like helping kids to know that like, yeah, it's okay to have those feelings inside, but like still like we want to make sure that we deal with them in a way that doesn't hurt others. Like when you're talking about the
Right.
anger, like it's okay
Yeah.
to feel anger, it's
Mm-hmm.
okay to sit with it for a while, but how do we not allow it to hurt others?
Yeah.
You know?
And hurt ourselves by
Yeah.
continuing just to
Yeah.
stay in it. Yeah,
Totally. And
for
sometimes it
sure.
will. And so books like this also model like repair, which I
Oh,
think
I
is so
love that.
important. Like conflict is going to happen regardless. And so
Yes.
learning how to make it right is so
Mm-hmm.
important.
So
So that
important.
one's way
Yes.
past jealous. This one is way past sorry. This one kind of gets a little bit into, actually these two both do, gets into like cliques. And how easy it is to make someone feel left out or to kind of get swept away in the act of targeting one other girl.
Mm-hmm.
Because you see like the other people that you're with doing it and you don't want to lose their affection. And so you go along with it, even though inside you feel something in your stomach that tells you like this isn't the right thing to do and it's eating
Right.
away at you. But how easy it is to still go along with it. So these
Yeah.
books
And they're
get
scared.
at that really well.
Yeah. I love that. Way past
Yeah.
sorry and way past mean.
Yeah.
It's such a real thing because I think that's something that parents may not like, parents who are like, oh, it's not that bad, or oh, just ignore her, or say kind of, they mean well, but they might say something a little bit dismissive. And it's like,
Right.
but to them, it's very serious. And to them, that they feel like what I hear most from girls at multiple ages is they're afraid if they speak up that they will be abandoned by that group and
Exactly.
then they won't have friends.
Mm-hmm. And that's a scary thought. I mean,
Yeah.
I look back on specific incidents from when I was a kid and like I can totally remember what that felt like. So
Yeah.
I love that these
Mhm.
books exist and they're
Me
just like
too.
such good stories, really relatable. And like that's why when people say books are for 4 to 8, like that would not be as relevant for a 4 to 8 year old
No.
as it would be for like a fifth grader or like a sixth grader
Yes.
even. Like
Yes.
perfect for my fourth graders. So
For
that's why
sure.
I'm like, yeah, it's good to have recommended ages, but don't let them limit you.
Agreed.
Then I have a few more here.
Yes.
This one is great. This one is called Ready to Soar. A lot of people have probably read this book by this author, The Rabbit Listened. Have you seen that one?
Okay. Yes. Yes.
Really
Yes. Yes.
popular.
Uh-huh.
So in this one, a child, Riley, and I don't think they're clear if Riley's a boy or a girl, but so you can interpret it as you'd like.
Yeah.
I thought she was a girl when I first read it, but maybe it's because I wanted to like see myself in the story.
Yeah.
But she's trying something new. She's trying to make a paper airplane and make it go really, really, really far. But all of these different creatures come up to her and tell her that she's like doing it all wrong, basically. They all
Mm.
come in and they're like, I know how to do it. Like the eagle says it needs to be bigger. And she's like, I can fix that. So she goes and makes it again. And then comes another creature and they're like, no, you're doing it wrong. That won't go fast enough. You have to do this, yada, yada, yada.
Mm. Mhm.
And so all these people are giving this little child, this girl to me, unsolicited advice, right? And all
Yes.
telling her or them that it needs to be better, 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 better. And then in the end, they are like, I'm tired of this advice. And they're like, I'm just going to do it on my own, right? And
Good.
finally comes across somebody though, the last creature she comes across just like celebrates her and cheers her on too. So it also shows what it's like to
Oh.
be a good friend and to be around others, but also just like not having to live by other people's advice and other people's
Mhm.
opinions of how you should do it. So it's a story of friendship, but also a story of like ignoring unsolicited advice and taking what serves you and finding confidence in yourself without letting others define you.
Love that.
Yeah.
I think too, like people don't realize that kids they can take it. Like they
Mhm.
love talking about things like
Oh
this.
yeah.
And even at a very young age, like they can talk about issues like that. And it's
Mhm.
just in the way you frame it, right? It's like
Right.
you just have to put it in a situation that relates to them and they can
Mhm.
totally relate to it.
Oh yeah.
And making a paper airplane, whether they ever have or not, I guarantee there's been someone who's told them that a dance step wasn't right or
Right.
a math problem wasn't the right way they did it or whatever it
Mhm.
is. And yeah, so I love that.
Yeah,
It's a
that one's
great
really
one.
good.
Yeah.
That's a really talented
Yeah.
author illustrator. And then
Hmm.
I mean, I have many more I could share, but I'll share one more right now. This
Okay.
is one that I was telling you about before. Um,
Yes.
that really stuck with me personally long after
Hmm.
I read it. So it's called Aria
Oh,
and
yes.
Everyone Else's Feelings. So it's about a little girl named Aria. She loves her neighborhood. She loves all of the people in it. But it's like one particular day, I think everyone is having big feelings. Okay. So she goes to see this guy. He's sad because his cat is sick. This person is scared because a storm is coming. And so then she's taking on all these people's feelings. And by the time she gets home, she herself is feeling really heavy and tired and is just like in a very bad place because she's
Hmm.
like carrying all of this. And so then in the rest of the story, she talks to her dad about her day and he tells her, it sounds like you're carrying their feelings with you. So talking about how when you have a really big heart, like you can feel what other people feel, like that's having empathy, like it's good, but like it can become too powerful and that it's not our job to carry other people's feelings, even though we can try to connect with them and hear what they have to say, but like that can get too heavy. And so then he teaches her like a grounding techniques. This is when I talk about actionable. This
Yeah.
is like the epitome of that. And helps her learn like how to deal with it. So step 1, feel your feet. Step 2, shake all the feelings out. Step 3, imagine your protections, like picturing like whatever you want to picture around you, like keeping you safe. So like even
Yeah.
while you're hearing what they have to say, like you have a bit of a filter that allows you to keep yourself protected.
Hmm.
And I love too that it just shows like that father-daughter relationship. It feels
Yes.
like a dad being vulnerable with his daughter too.
So
I think
powerful.
that can be a struggle for a lot of dads, like being able to connect with their emotions,
Thousand
especially with their
percent.
daughters. So highly recommend that one. That one has been really good for me because I am a deeply feeling human.
Yes.
Um, and just remembering like that I am not responsible for everyone else's feelings, even though I can connect with them and
Hmm.
understand a little bit of what they're experiencing. I don't have to carry it alone.
Yes.
Hmm.
It's so good. I
Yeah.
think there's so many girls that are deep feelers.
Oh yeah.
And I think that it is heavy
Hmm.
because you're like, I've heard from parents and they're like, well, she just, she worries about these things that aren't even about her, or she notices something that happens to someone else and it really bothers her. And
Right.
how do I empower her to do that? Or like, people being mean. Like there
Hmm.
was an instance where a parent told me that in their neighborhood, she used to play with these girls
Yeah.
and all of a sudden a dynamic changed and then they would hide from her and they
Oh
would
yeah.
yeah, and she's such a sweet girl. And she was having to go through like even the strong emotion of, well, we used to be really good friends and now
Right.
I don't even know what happened. And so I think not only can you feel other people's feelings, but you can also feel deeply hurt from a friendship dynamic changing. And so I think even in books, we can talk to our daughters about big feelings about friendship dynamics changing too.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that you come across that in books because sure. What are they? Or do you have some in mind?
I have a really good one. It's called The Not So Friendly Friend.
Okay.
Like how when you can feel like someone's a friend, but the things that they do like suggest otherwise, and like how to like
Mhm.
come to terms with that, and how to like set boundaries. There's another one called The New Friend, that's kind of connected to what you were saying too, where a child like sees her old friend with someone else, like has moved on, like past them, and how they deal with that.
Love that.
And I have a few more too. I can do a list.
Please drop them.
I
Just if
could
you
go
could say
on.
them.
I could go
Yeah,
on all day. Okay,
I know.
let me take a look here. So this is maybe where it would be a good time for me to talk
Yeah,
about one of my next projects because it's
please
connected to
do.
this.
Yes.
So I have a couple offers up on my website right now. Some really cool things I have available. But something I'm working on right now, it's called the Book Stacks, and it's a gigantic book database of over 5,000 books. It's starting with picture books, but I also have some like early readers and some middle grade. It's going to start with less kind of, but I have a feeling, especially as my girls keep getting older, you know, I'm going to keep scaling up because my
For
5-year-old
sure.
reads now and loves chapter books somehow.
Yes. They always do.
It just, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It started with audiobooks for us and
Yeah.
they love listening. Like Magic Treehouse was really
Yeah.
big in our
Yeah.
car and like all the, yeah. Mhm.
So yeah, I that database will be searchable, and you can click
Amazing.
specific tags like themes, topics, identities, skills, and you can look for like intersecting tags, which is really cool. Like, let's say you wanted it to be a story that takes place at school and be about like friendship. You could specifically select setting as school, and then theme as friendship, and it will pull up the books that have both of those characteristics in common. And
Oh my
so
gosh.
that's in the works right now. Super cool. It's going really well. And I cannot wait for it to go live. Probably within the next month or two, it will be available.
Okay.
And it's totally free. It's just going to be like an open database for everyone to access.
Amazing. Oh
So
my gosh, what an amazing resource.
yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, definitely I want to talk about a few other things, but definitely follow her and go to her website. We'll let her plug all the things for that. Do you just want to go ahead and say your website?
Oh yeah. So it is thekidlitmama.com. Few different things going on there. Like you were talking about, I have my parenting picks. Those are book guides and resources around specific themes. So I have ones like sibling rivalry, grief, anger. I have 10 of them so far, but that's going to be like a growing resource over time. And then I have a subscription to library lists. So every month I send out a list of timely, relevant titles. I try to pick ones that'll appeal to a wide range of ages within the family. I would say elementary and younger, though.
Yeah.
Books I pick, like a lot of them, my almost 2-year-old and my 5.5-year-old both have enjoyed. So I try to pick ones with a wide range of appeal. And what sets those apart from some of the books I share on my Instagram is that they're not brand new releases. So you can actually go to your library's website and find them available, because when a library tries to buy a book, it takes a while for them to process it.
Yes.
If you search for a new release, it might not actually be available in your library for like 3, 4, 5 months, you know?
Yeah.
So these are books that people will be able to find right away. Won't probably have massive holds lists because they're just a tiny bit older, but not so old that they're not relevant anymore.
Yeah.
So those are
I love
really,
that.
really cool. And I center those on different like themes, things that are going on in the world. Like this last month was different fall holidays. I had like Diwali, Yom Kippur, different global holidays. And then I also have timely titles, like things that connect to like current events, like things you're hearing like on TV, in the news, and like how the heck do I talk about this with my kid?
Yeah.
And I don't create the lists until like a week before they're supposed to go live, because I want them to be like as relevant as possible. They're not just recycled lists from every year. They're like brand new, created like with what's happening in the world and in our families in mind. And another thing I always include on them too is just like fun and funny read alouds, because we all need more joy. So I'm always able to include like 5 to 7 of those, because like right now especially we all need to laugh.
Yes. Agreed.
And I just learned this interesting fact that apparently our bodies cannot tell the difference between real laughter and fake laughter. So read that book, even if you don't actually think it's funny, and force yourself to laugh because your body will benefit from it.
I love it. That just
Yeah.
makes you laugh thinking about
Yeah,
it.
I know, right? I saw that. I was like, is that true?
Uh,
But apparently
you're
it
like,
is.
I'm fake laughing more
You should
often.
be
That's
laughing,
it.
fake laughing all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
So yeah, those are my
So,
two main offers. And then I'm also
yeah,
on Substack. I do kind of like
love.
seasonal reflections on there for my paid
Mhm.
subscribers. And then for everyone else, that's just kind of where I put the deeper stuff that doesn't quite fit in an Instagram caption. Because the rest of my offers
Yeah.
are kind of like quick,
Yeah.
and practical. But that's where I tend to ramble a little bit more on there.
I love it. And it's just,
Diary.
yeah, I love that. You have such a great variety, and that database sounds incredible.
Oh my
So
gosh. I'm such
definitely
a
be on
nerd.
the
I cannot
lookout.
wait. Yeah.
Oh man, well, I'm going to utilize it for sure.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and I know our audience will, because I know she's just given tip after tip. And before I want to make sure I ask this, because I
Yeah.
think it's very intuitive for teachers to know this, but
Mhm.
um this is something that I'm sure came up for you too during parent teacher
Mhm.
conferences. Like, what do I say to my kid while we're reading? So, after
Mhm.
reading a book about big feelings or about anything, about
Yeah.
a current event, or about, like you said, like something that's, you're like, okay, this is happening in the world. How in the world do I even talk about this? And what do
Mhm.
I say after
Mhm.
they find your awesome resource and they're like, okay, I've got a book. Now what do I say? So what would
Mhm.
you say to that? I think
Yeah,
it's, yeah, important to
that is such
know
a good
what they
question.
should say.
So, I mean, a lot of different ways that I could answer this.
Uh-huh.
In my parenting picks guides, I actually embed guiding questions at
Oh,
the beginning.
amazing.
So if you're not sure what to say,
So
like
check
consider
that
taking
out.
those out because
Yes.
I've got you covered. I think a lot of times too, we can let our kids lead. I
Hmm.
think they oftentimes have a lot to say without us even prompting. When I
Hmm.
was in the classroom, I used a framework called See, Think, Wonder. Have you heard of that?
Yes.
Making thinking visible.
Hmm.
And I like to do that with my daughter too. And you can use it kind of as a pre-reading strategy, or you can do it like after you finish reading. Like, what did you see in the book? What sort of thoughts came up while you were reading? What are some things that you wondered? And then you can even record those wonders and then like seek out answers together. Just
Hmm.
be like a teammate with your child and follow their lead. Because it's also like, especially with some of the tricky stuff going on in our world, like we don't want to overwhelm their little nervous systems, right?
Yeah.
The stuff that's not really like developmentally appropriate. And so
Yeah.
while I give you books that are written for kids, obviously it's up to your discretion as parents how you want to approach that or if you want to read it with
Hmm.
them. But then if you decide to, just like keeping it open after you read, to let them, see where they want to take it and how they processed it. And sometimes I'll even start a book with my daughter and I'll realize like midway, like, no, this isn't like the right fit, or like there's something
Hmm.
about it that just like I can see it in her body that's just like a little much, and we will close it. Like I abandon a lot of books mid-read.
Yeah.
I'll just decide like it's just not right at the moment. That doesn't mean there's
Yeah.
anything wrong with the book at all. It's just like it's just
Hmm.
not the perfect fit for us right now.
And
Um,
what do you say when you close the book?
that's a really good question. I mean, lots of times I can already tell she's maybe losing interest because something's making her uncomfortable. Like she might kind
Hmm.
of subtly like transition away a little bit, or her body
Hmm.
language is telling me that. So she doesn't really even respond, or I might like close and say, "Oh, let's go do this thing real quick, and then we can come back
Hmm.
to this later." Or I might
Hmm.
say, "Oh, I noticed that like that's like a little scary looking. Maybe we should just take a break." And usually
Yeah.
she'll agree with me. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, that's probably yeah, that's something to be aware of, and just to be thinking about that it's okay to close a book if you decide that it's not the right fit in the moment, and to not feel like you
Yeah.
have to like see it through.
Yes. I used to say that in the classroom too with kids.
Yeah,
Like, because I mean, there's a difference between abandoning every single book you read. And
yeah,
even if you're pretty deep in a book and you're like, something feels off to me, or I'm losing interest in this, like, it's okay to tell
right.
kids to abandon, because how many times have you done that? I mean, I've
Yeah,
gotten into a book and I'm like, I liked a certain series, and then maybe I thought something was similar, and then I
yeah,
start reading it. I'm like, I don't like this. So yeah,
right,
I love that. And making it normal. I think
right.
normalizing a lot of just having even feelings about reading books is so important to normalize, and be like, you can also read about people that are different than you, and it can make you
Mhm.
feel empowered, or like see things in a different way. But also, like you said, to your point, it might not be developmentally appropriate yet, or they may not know how to handle it quite yet. And you can always come back to it.
Yeah. And I think something too, like all of these sorts of things, like just in general, by doing that, like you're teaching your kid a valuable skill too, like as a reader, but also just like as a human, like when you encounter something that you maybe don't feel quite ready for, like listening
Mhm.
to and trusting like your intuition and what your body is telling you and
Yes.
honoring that, I think is like such a great life skill. And also
Yes.
acknowledging that like even though you might not read it in its entirety, like there's probably still some little tidbit in it that you learned from. Like it wasn't a total wash. Like,
Yes.
and I am like, I'm really bad at finishing books lately, but I find myself picking up like a lot of nonfiction because I find that I can just read like a chapter and there's like a takeaway
Sure.
or something that I can take with me, and not like shaming myself for that, but acknowledging like it taught me something in that moment. And so many
Yes.
experiences in life are like that, right? Like
Yeah.
it maybe didn't go perfectly, but like you learned something. You can take away
Mhm.
at least like a little tidbit of knowledge with you. So
I love that. And that's
yeah,
teaching them that that's such a great life skill too, is like you can learn something in
right.
any situation, and even when something doesn't go well,
It's okay.
it can
Mhm.
yeah, it's okay, and you learn from it, and
Right.
even if the learn is I'm not doing that again. Like
Right.
even if it's
Right.
something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Or like I don't whatever it will be.
Right.
I love that. It's
Yeah, and
like
having those tough conversations with parents too, I think, like, it's good to do because it models for your kids vulnerability, you know?
yes.
Like, you might not know the perfect thing to say, and that's okay,
Mhm.
like, them seeing you as, like, a flawed human who can, like, engage in tricky stuff and not do it perfectly, like, that teaches them
Mhm.
so, so much.
A
So, so
thousand
much.
percent.
And I also
Yes.
encourage, like, when you say, "What do they say?" When you're done reading the book, I refer back to the book all the time, like, in our day-to-day
Mhm.
life. Like, I'll be like, "Hey, remember that character in blah, 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 blah?" And, like, it's almost like the characters are friends with us, like, we're talking about, like, our
Correct.
interactions we had with them. Yeah, just,
Yes.
like, trying to make connections and revisit it, especially if it's, like, a point you really wanna, like, reinstate or what is the word I'm looking for? Instill.
Reinforce.
Instill.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
instill, yeah.
Or reinstill.
Well,
Yeah.
I found too, like even in silly books, like Skippy John Jones was one of my
Yeah.
son's favorite because
Uh-huh.
Skippy's so ridiculous and always like using his imagination and just getting into trouble. And, and so my son could relate to kind of
Yeah.
not always following the rules and it not
Mhm.
always being a horrible thing.
Right,
Um,
right.
so yeah, we would, do our Skippy voices and just like in a
Oh.
silly way. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think too, like you can do that as silly books is you can be like, oh my gosh, that
Sure,
reminded me of
sure.
Junie B. Jones, or that reminded me of, Annie from the Magic Tree House, or
Yeah.
remember when they had that book? Look, here's a book that's, whatever. Or,
Right.
oh, there's a poster for, a time frame when they refer I don't know. I feel like that you can do that so
Right.
easily in
Bringing,
everyday
like, a little
life.
bit of humor into a stressful moment can go such a long way. Like, Junie, when you said her my
Yeah.
daughter was pretty nervous at the start of her kindergarten year, and I told
Yeah.
her, "Well, as long as you don't hide in the cabinet like Junie did." Like, just brought,
Yes.
like, a lot of levity to that moment, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, exactly.
that book's
Junie
not
did so
teaching
many
a lesson,
things.
but just, like, connecting it back
Yes.
to something like that, you know?
Yeah.
That's
Well, and I
powerful.
think too, like, I mean, my son loved Junie B. Jones. And I
Mhm.
think even a girl main character, like as a boy, of course, I loved that he wanted to read Junie. And I knew she was hilarious and
Mhm.
got into mischief and things. But I think it also made him understand that you don't have to be perfect.
Mhm.
And,
Yeah.
you can do things and make it right. So
Yeah.
that was a lot of the theme that we talked about with Junie, how
We got in a
she
big
learned something.
debate on my Instagram about Junie B. Jones earlier this year
Did
'cause
you?
I was listening
I
to it
was
on
a pro.
YoYo, and she was like,
Yeah.
"Dumb, stupid, big fat Jim," and I was like, "Her language," and then I had people telling me, like, "That's, like, why I love her, she's, like, real," and some people were like,
Yes.
"Yeah, I think she is supposed to be neurodivergent too," and I was like, "Huh," and then my whole perspective on her changed because I was like,
Mhm.
this gives kids permission to not feel like they have to be perfect. And yeah, if you don't want to use that
Yes.
language with your kids, this is a chance
Of
to talk about
course.
that too, you know?
Yes.
To be like, yeah,
Yes.
Junie says those words, like they're not our favorite words.
Yeah.
Um, but like she's real.
Exactly.
And I actually love her now. But like even just a few months back, I was kind of like, oh, I don't know. And now I'm
Well,
like, she's
yeah.
my daughter's favorite and I love reading her. And it's just,
Mhm.
yeah, she's great. She's relatable.
She is. And I think it also just allows you to have those conversations
Yeah.
about different words that people say, and that
Right.
you don't have to talk like that because someone
Mhm.
else does. Or, yeah, we don't use those words, but she is really upset, or she's like this or that. And
Right.
it can kind of give context to why people talk different ways than
Right.
maybe your daughter. Or if they say one of those words, it's, a perfect conversation, and be like,
Hilarious. Yeah.
talk about if
Uh-huh.
how you feel about that as a family.
Right. Exactly. Like if you don't talk about it, like they're gonna hear it somewhere else, and then
Exactly.
that'll be their lesson. So
Yes. It would be nice to keep them in a bubble, but that's
that's just not
that's
real. Yeah.
no, not at
Mhm.
all. Well, I have loved this
Me
conversation,
too.
and I just think that you are an incredible resource, and I'm
Mhm.
so grateful that you're in the world because yeah, you just have
Aw,
such an incredible way of looking at
thank
books.
you.
And I think that there are so many ways to connect with you. And I think what I encourage you to do
Mhm.
as a parent listening is connect with her on, let's go through kind of the basic ways they can start to get to know you. I mean, I
Yeah.
know that they have listened to this episode, and
Yeah.
I know they've gotten so much value out of
Yeah.
it.
Mhm.
What would be the easiest
An
way to
entry
get to
point.
know you, or to entry?
Yeah.
Yeah, have
So
entry.
probably Instagram. That's like my main, like my primary platform.
Yeah,
Um,
that's how I found you.
yeah. And if you go to my website, I think it's like on the bottom of the main page, sign up for my newsletter.
Yes.
And kind of just like play around a little bit and explore it, because I have a lot of different things kind of added to that. Like I just revamped my whole website with those new offers. So kind of just poke around and
Yes.
check out what's all there. And then if you sign up for my newsletter, you'll get like some updates in the future when that database goes live.
Hmm.
You'll be the first to know, hopefully the next couple months. And then
Yes.
also my Substack, if you're kind of interested in more of like the deeper kind of parenting decisions and books that can go with them, that would be a good place to go for that. So everything
Hmm.
offers just something just a little bit different, because
I love
everybody has
that.
different needs. So
For sure. And she has parenting picks, she has library lists, she has
yep,
favorites, she has her blog linked to her website. So
yep,
it's a really good resource. So I highly encourage you to check it out.
thank you.
And do you have any parting words of just what you'd like to say to parents listening about raising confident girls, and how
Hmm.
they can use books as a tool, or just anything in general with you're raising you have one girl or two?
I have two. Yeah, I have
Okay, two girls.
a 5-year-old and then an
Okay.
7.5-year-old and then an almost 2-year-old.
Okay. So what advice would you give them about raising confident girls, or using books for
Hmm.
it, or just anything in general?
Oh, that is
Because
that's
you're in it.
a
You are
question.
in it.
And oh gosh. I would
It can
say
be, there's
encourage
no
your
wrong
girls
answer.
to take up space and to be their authentic selves. I think society puts a lot of like kind of, limitations and boundaries on what a girl should be and what they should look like. And just encourage your girl, just take up space and be like confidently themselves, and know that there are so many books to support you with that. So
I love that.
yeah,
Well, thank
that's
you
it.
so much for being here. I have loved
Yeah.
this conversation, and you are just a gift. I think you're helping so many people.
Thank you.
And yes, I know it's hard work what you do, and just know that
I
it
love
is
it.
changing lives.
Thank you. This was
Yes.
honestly such an honor. Very fun first podcast experience.
Good. I'm so happy to hear that.
Thank you.
And the best gift that you can give Elizabeth and this community is to share this episode with a parent or caregiver of a girl who you think it would positively impact. As you know, if you've listened before, that is the intention of this podcast, to be a free resource for you and for any other parent or caregiver raising girls. And until next time, have a great week ahead. Read books with intention and use just one of these tips to empower the girls in your life. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Thanks for joining another empowering episode of the Raising Confident Girls podcast. Share today's insights with caregivers and friends, building beautiful relationships with strong girls. Hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. We're not just a podcast, we're a community. Follow Girls Positivity Club on social media for more empowering content on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. This podcast empowers you, supporting incredible girls. Let's create strong, beautiful relationships with the girls in our lives. I appreciate you listening today. Stay confident, stay connected. Until next time, keep raising those confident girls. You've got this.